الصلاة الصلاة الصلاة.
Yes. People coming to the space. صلاة العيد قربة من الله. الله أكبر. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين. الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين. إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين. صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. سبح اسم ربك الأعلى الذي خلق فسوى الذي قدر فهدى الذي أخرج المرعى وجعله غثاء أحوى سنقرئك فلا تنسى إلا ما شاء الله إنه يعلم الجهر ولا يسبق للسماء وإن بعد الذكرى يتجنبها الأشقى الذي يصلى النار الكبرى ثم لا يموت فيها ولا يحيا قد أفلح من تزكى وذكر اسم ربه فصلى لا تعذبن الأحياء اللهم أهل الكبرياء والعظمة وأهل الجود والجبروت وأهل العفو والرحمة وأهل التقوى والمغفرة أسألك بحق هذا اليوم الذي جعلته للمسلمين عيدا ولمحمد صلى الله عليه وآله وسلم الله أكبر. اللهم أهل الكبرياء والعظمة وأهل الجود والجبروت وأهل العفو والرحمة وأهل التقوى والمغفرة، أسألك بحق هذا اليوم الذي جعلته للمسلمين عيدا محمد صلى الله عليه وآله ذكرا وشرفا مزيدا، أن تصلي على محمد وأن تدخلني في كل خير أدخلت فيه محمدا وآل محمد، وأن تخرجني من كل سوء أخرجت منه محمدا وآل محمد، صلواتك عليه وعليك. اللهم إني أسألك خير ما سألك به عبادك الصالحين، وأعوذ بك مما استعاذ منه عبادك المخلصون. الله أكبر. اللهم أهل الكبرياء والعظمة وأهل الجود والجبروت وأهل العفو والرحمة وأهل التقوى والمغفرة، أسألك بحق هذا اليوم الذي جعلته للمسلمين عيدا محمد صلى الله عليه وآله ذكرا وشرفا مزيدا، أن تصلي على محمد وآل محمد، وأن تدخلني في كل خير أدخلت فيه محمدا وآل محمد، وأن اللهم إني أسألك من استعاذ منه وعبادك المخلصين. الله أكبر. اللهم أهل الكبرياء والعظمة وأهل الجود والجبروت وأهل العفو والرحمة وأهل التقوى والمغفرة، أسألك بحق هذا اليوم الذي جعلته للمسلمين عيدا ولمحمد صلى الله عليه وآله ذكرا وشرفا ومزيدا، أن تصلي على محمد وآله وأن تدخلني في كل خير أدخلت فيه محمدا وآل محمد، وأن تخرجني من كل سوء أخرجت منه محمدا وآل محمد، صلواتك عليه وعليهم. اللهم إني أسألك خير ما سألك به عبادك الصالحين، وأعوذ بك من استعاذ منه وعبادك المخلصين. اللهم صل على محمد. الله أكبر. سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان الله. وصلى على محمد سمع الله لمن حمده. الله أكبر. سبحان ربي الأعلى وبحمد رب السماء. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. سبحان ربي الأعلى وبحمد رب السماء. الله أكبر. بحول الله تعالى وقوته أقول وأقول. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والشمس وضحاها والقمر إذا تلاها والنهار إذا جلاها والليل إذا يغشاها والسماء وما بناها والأرض وما طحاها ونفس وما سواها وتقواها قد أفلح من زكاها وقد خاب من دساها كذبت ثمود بتقواها إذ انبعث أشقاها فقال لهم رسول الله ناقة الله وسقياها فكذبوه فعقروها فدمدم عليهم ربهم بذنبهم فسواها ولا يخاف عقباها الله أكبر. اللهم صل على محمد. اللهم أهل الكبرياء والعظمة وأهل الجود والجبروت وأهل العفو والرحمة وأهل التقوى والمغفرة أسألك بحق هذا اليوم الذي جعلته للمسلمين عندك محمد صلى الله عليه وآله ذكرا وشرفا مزيدا أن تصلي على محمد وآل محمد وأن تدخلني في كل خير أدخلت فيه محمدا وآل محمد وأن تخرجني من كل سوء أخرجت منه محمدا وآل محمد صلواتك عليه وعليهم. اللهم إني أسألك خير ما سألك به عبادك الصالحين وأعوذ بك مما استعاذ منه عبادك. الله أكبر. اللهم أهل الكبرياء والعظمة وأهل الجود والجبروت وأهل العفو والرحمة وأهل التقوى والمغفرة أسألك بحق هذا اليوم الذي جعلته للمسلمين عيدا ولمحمد صلى الله عليه وآله فخرا وشرفا ومزيدا أن تصلي على محمد وآل محمد وأن تدخلني في كل خير أدخلت فيه محمدا وآل محمد وأن تخرجني من كل سوء أخرجت منه محمدا وآل محمد صلواتك عليه وعلى اللهم إني أسألك خير ما سألك به عبادك الصالحين وأعوذ بك من استعاذ منه وعبادك المخلصين. الله أكبر. اللهم أهل الكبرياء والعظمة وأهل الجود والجبروت وأهل العفو والرحمة وأهل التقوى والمغفرة أسألك بحق هذا اليوم الذي جعلته للمسلمين عيدا ولمحمد صلى الله عليه وآله ذكرا وشرفا ومزيدا أن تصلي على محمد وآل محمد وأن تدخلني في كل خير أدخلت فيه محمدا وأن تخرجني من كل سوء أخرجت منه محمدا وآل محمد صلواتك عليه وعليهم. اللهم إني أسألك خير ما سألك به عبادك الصالحين وأعوذ بك مما استعاذ منه عبادك المخلصون. اللهم صل على محمد. الله أكبر. سبحان ربي العظيم وبحمده صل على محمد. سمع الله لمن حمده. الله أكبر. سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان الله صلى الله أكبر الله أكبر سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان الله وتصلى على محمد الله أكبر بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم أسماء لله أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله الذي ورحمة الله وبركاته السلام علينا وعلى عباد الله الصالحين السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر
إن الله وملائكته يصلون على النبي يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما اللهم صل
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان اللعين الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم وبه نستعين ثم الصلاة والسلام على سيدنا ونبينا وحبيب قلوبنا أبي القاسم المصطفى محمد وعلى آله الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين لا سيما بقية الله في الأرضين أرواحنا له فداء أما بعد فقد قال الله سبحانه وتعالى في كتابه الكريم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم وقال للذي ظن أنه ناج منهما اذكرني عند ربك صدق الله العلي العظيم السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته Today is, Eid al-Adha. It is the Eid after the Eid starting the Hajj. And it is a moment that carries a lot of lessons for us in life. Presents to us a particular lifestyle as well, one that we should adapt and we should maintain. And that is a lifestyle of having positive thinking, a husn al-dhan. Something that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He speaks about also in the Quran in verse 42 of Surah Yusuf. Of course, we all know the story of Yusuf when he was imprisoned, and then he interpreted two dreams for his inmates, the prisoners. And so one of them, as the story goes, it says, وَقَالَ لِلَّذِي ظَنَّ أَنَّهُ نَاجٍ مِنْهُمَا اذْكُرْنِي عِنْدَ رَبِّكَ. So the one he believed that, oh, well, this one will survive, one will be martyred, the other one will survive. So that dhan, that husn al-dhan that we have with this individual, even husn al-dhan, that this individual would mention Yusuf to his master, to the Pharaoh at the time. So this lifestyle of husn al-dhan, although we know the story that Yusuf ended up staying in prison for a little bit longer, why? Because as the Lord says, فَإِنْسَانُ الشَّيْطَانِ ذِكْرَ رَبِّهِ فَلَبِثَ فِي السِّجْنِ بِضْعَ سِنِينَ. So imagine what was Yusuf doing in those years. So he thought, oh, well, this one is going to be released. He's going to end up working for the Pharaoh. So mentioning to the Pharaoh, to the master, and then then I'll be free, or my situation will change. But that didn't happen immediately. Because this individual who forgot and he ended up staying. Yusuf stayed longer in prison. So there are two possibilities for Yusuf at that moment, to either well, this person forgot, and at that point becomes sad or anxious. Or he could say, well, I mentioned it to him, and perhaps, inshallah, he will mention me to the Pharaoh. And if he didn't, what is my situation now? That I'm remaining in this difficulty too long. The characteristics and traits that we know about the Ma'sumin, about the prophets, about the Imma alayhim wa sallam, that even in that difficult situation, we still remain positive. Take, for example, the example of Imam Musa Kadhim alayhi salatu wasalam. Was also imprisoned. And when we look at the history, even the way that prison was, perhaps today's solitary confinement has nothing of that, because it's stated that in his imprisonment at times, he didn't know, at least a person who was in there, he couldn't tell whether it was day or night. And then the amount of, just enough, full enough at least that oxygen is coming in. But even in that situation, that very cramped space as well, as we know from the history, look at the attitude of Imam Musa Kadhim alayhi salam. And this is reported by one of the prison guards, who eventually became a follower of the Imam. He would listen in on the Imam, and he would hear the Imam thanking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, making dua that, oh Allah, I've asked you for a moment to be alone, that is only me and you, that I can spend that time in praying and ibadah, that I don't have to deal with anyone. So that situation that seemed to be the most difficult situation, Musa Kadhim alayhi salam remained present. He said, but, yeah, on the apparent side, it seems difficult. But yet, if I rely upon Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and if I have that lifestyle, which is called Khutba, even this difficult situation is a situation of peace. In that difficult situation is a situation that I can connect with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This lifestyle is also spoken about in the Khutba of He speaks about the benefits of this. And I'm going to connect this to the Hajj. Understand that Hajj is something that promotes this type of lifestyle. So Imam Ali alayhi he says about husnul dhan, about this positive thinking, he says, husnul dhan rahatul qalb wa salamatul deen. He says, husnul dhan, he says, the first thing that you'll find that if you have this positive relationship, no matter what your situation is, no matter the difficulty, then you'll have two effects. One, you won't be anxious. It is counter to anxiety if you have husnul dhan. I'm in a difficult situation, but you know what? I have to understand that this situation is difficult, but in it, there's a lesson to be learned. Or in it, there's something to increase my connection to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So I always have to have this husnul dhan. The second effect of that husnul dhan, as Imam, he says, salamatul deen. And it is that which will make your deen, make your faith, make your belief, help you. So it will remove from you anxiety, and it will also increase your connection and strengthen your connection to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. As Imam Ali also states in the Rule of Hakam, he says, husnul dhan يخفف الهم وينجي من تقلب الإثم. That's almost kind of an explanation about it. So he says that when you have husnul dhan, so it removes worries. So if Yusuf, he was there, he says, you have that husnul dhan about his inmate, that, hey, enter me to your lord, to the Pharaoh, and my situation become better. So that husnul dhan that he would have is like, okay, I believe he will. Even if he forgot, maybe he will remember at some point, which then that's what happened. Or even if he still forgot and forgot to remember, then perhaps there's something that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants me to understand in this particular situation. So therefore, why should I be anxious? Why should I have this anxiety about the same? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He's in control of everything. We may plan and want to do something, but Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He will take it. And then how does it bring about that healthiness of one's faith or one's deen? As Imam Al-Nawawi explains in the second hadith, وَيُنْجِي مِنْ تَقَلِّدِ الْإِثْمِ. That person who has husnul dhan, it will prevent them and it will save them from sinfulness, from sinful actions. Let's go back to that scenario of youth. Sometimes what happens is you ask someone to do something. Hey, can you do this? Or can you do that? And perhaps they forgot. Legitimately forgot. So if we don't have husnul dhan, what will happen? We'll begin talking about, hey, I told you that, I didn't do that, and blah, blah. You begin to backbite them. Or you begin to, again, think negatively about that person. But having that husnul dhan, it allows us to give the benefit of the doubt. Oh, I told him, maybe you forgot. Yeah, I'll remind him again, second time, third time. Or just honest the accident. Hey, are you okay with doing this? If you're not, then okay, fine. Just I'll figure out something else. But it safeguards you by having that husnul dhan. It safeguards you from that pitfall of sinfulness. So this style of life, husnul dhan, is one that is connected to Hajj. How so? As we know that the ibadah of Hajj, going on that journey, is not an easy journey. It is a difficult journey. And this is what we find in Nahj al-Balagha, as Imam Ali alayhi salam, he describes the Hajj. He says, yes, it's difficult. You're most often under the sun, running from this place to that place, having to walk, circumambulating the Kaaba, throwing yourself. It's a difficult journey. But at the end of that difficulty, or even within making that toil and making a difficult journey, one is to walk away from that Hajj and complete that Hajj, or even for us who are here, recognizing the blessings of this day. Any of us, today's courses a week, you think, oh, we should be at work, I should be doing this. But we took time out to worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Sometimes that's a difficult choice for people. Some of us may be saying, Sheikh, let me Khutba quickly so we can get back to work. But that choice, in that difficulty, and especially in Hajj, it should instill in us that positive thinking. How so? Because Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, he stated that when a person performs the Hajj and they complete the Hajj, then you should leave from that ibadah knowing that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has forgiven every sin, that there's nothing left. The Prophet of Allah, he says, so much so that if a person leaves from the Hajj and thinks that, oh, well, there was something I did, that no, Allah didn't forgive me for that. He can't forgive me for that. Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, he says that is the biggest sin, to walk away from that ibadah. I think that there was something that you've done that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has forgiven. Even to the point that the Prophet of Allah was like, oh, what if I did something to someone? Haqqun nas. And I don't know where that person is, that I can ask that person for forgiveness. Of course, one of the best things to do that when you're going to Hajj is that before you go to Hajj, if you know that, yes, I probably did something to someone, or probably said something to someone, it wasn't kind, And this is from the adab of preparing for the Hajj. You read the books of the ulama, the adab, the etiquette of preparing for Hajj is to send out to anyone who contacts it, know that, look, if I've done something, please forgive me. I'm going on Hajj and I want, at least my account with people to be safe. But sometimes there may be someone that you can't find that person. You don't know where that person is. You've lost contact. So the Prophet of Allah was like, well, what about that? When we know that it's stated that Allah will not forgive the haqqonas. You have to ask. The Prophet of Allah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, even in that case, yes, you didn't know where the person was, so you weren't able to contact him directly. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, out of his infinite mercy and rahmah, that he will. Well, that means that this ibadah of Hajj, one of the benefits of that is to come out of that Hajj, of ibadah, with this type of lifestyle. To have husn, to think positive. To understand that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, if we serve Him, if we worship Him, that if we fulfill our duty and our responsibility to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then everything will be okay, everything will be. And there's no need for us to worry or over worry about things, to minimize this having anxiety about things, and also safeguard our deen from sin, as Imam Ali alayhi salatu says. And even when we were not able to make it to Hajj this year, many were not able to make it to Hajj, and we pray that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala removes this pandemic, that the Hajj may be opened up for all of us to go this coming year, next year, and the following year, that we may benefit from this great ibadah, that even if we have not just recognizing the blessing of this day which we live throughout, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has made it Eidan in the Muslim. And Eid is a day of blessing, Eid is a day of forgiveness, Eid is a day of rahmah and mercy from Allah. This is what Eid is. We look at the definition. So also, as we walk away from our Salatul Eid and we part from one another, we should also have that remember, realize that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has spread His mercy upon us, all of the believers, all of the mu'mineen, has forgiven us, and we should forgive each other and have that positive thinking attitude with regards. I pray that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He gives us tawfiq, gives us success in this way. Astaghfirullah li wa lakum. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. والعصر إن الإنسان لفي خسر إلا الذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات وتواصوا بالحق وتواصوا أعوذ بالله من الشيطان اللعين الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم وبه نستعين ثم الصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين الرسول المصدق المصطفى الأحجار أبي القاسم محمد وعلى أوصيائه وأولياء الله أمير المؤمنين علي بن أبي طالب الحسن بن علي بن حسين بن علي وعلي بن حسين ومحمد بن علي وجعفر بن محمد ويوسف بن جعفر وعلي بن يوسف ومحمد بن علي وعلي بن محمد والحسن بن علي والحجة بن الحسن القائم المنتظر المهدي. عجل الله تعالى فرجه. أما بعد فقد قال الله سبحانه وتعالى في كتابه الكريم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم لا ينفع نفسا إيمانها لم تكن آمنت من قبل أو كسبت في إيمانها خيرا صدق الله العظيم. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala states in the Quran in Surah Al-An'am, I'm going to just paraphrase this verse where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that nafs, that iman, does not benefit a soul unless it has believed before. لم تكن آمنت من قبل. This is a very interesting phrase that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that so that its iman, its faith, its belief only helps that soul that when it has believed before. So what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is speaking about, there are many different commentaries on this. One about the day of judgment, that's in that situation, if you haven't believed them before, then your iman, if you try to say that you believe at that moment, it's not beneficial. Within other commentaries, it speaks about that end of time, especially when Imam Mahdi Ajal Sharif, but when he returns to establish justice upon this earth, that those who had iman, those who had belief, that's when their belief will benefit. But if they had not, then it would not benefit. There's also one of those difficult moments in time when we will find that when the Imam comes, when he comes to establish justice, actually, where do we stand? Where does our faith stand? Where does our iman stand? Where does our action stand on the side of justice or not? And how strong is our iman? Because even what we read about the events prior to the appearance of Imam Ajal Sharif, there are events that will test our iman, will test our faith, will test our belief in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, our belief in truth and justice, our belief in the way of life of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam and his Ahlul Bayt. At that moment, it's not going to really benefit us. And this is why the verse says, لا ينفع نفسا إيمانها لم تكن آمنت من قبل. And that iman is not simply a statement, a qawl, but that iman is one that penetrates your heart. And this is how the Ahlul Bayt alayhim salatu salam, they define iman. It's something that is muqirr, that is settled, that is established, that is in the heart. That's when our iman will benefit us. So it behooves us to strengthen our iman. And the way that we strengthen our iman is through actions of the ibadah, but not simply going through the motions of that ibadah, but understanding the purpose of that ibadah. Hajj is one of those ibadats as well that, if we look at the surface, and I'll refer back to that Khutba but if we don't understand it, all we see is like, oh yes, we're going to this desert and we're running between two mountains and we're walking around he says, a bunch of stones here. There's stones. A brick house that's made up. That's if we see the surface of it, we don't understand the depth of that ibadah, the depth of that action. Likewise, when we look at Salah, we need to understand ibadah. We need to gain what we find in the hadith of Ahlul Bayt, particularly Imam Sadiq alayhi salam. As Imam Sadiq is speaking with one of his companions, إن الإيمان أفضل من الإسلام. Iman is better than Islam. Islam is what? Simply to make the statement, La ilaha illallah Muhammad Rasulullah. And there are many who make the statement or claim the statement or, oh yes, I'm Muslim, but then in their actions, in their deeds, in their interactions, we really see that quality of Iman that should be. You see that? You can be Muslim, you can say, La ilaha illallah Muhammad Rasulullah. But then what is our actions? What is our interactions? What is our stance for something like justice or injustice? And then even beyond that Iman, I say that, yes, mashallah, I say, La ilaha illallah Muhammad Rasulullah. I fulfill my obligations, my duty, my wajibat, in my salat, in my fasting, my hajj, my khums, my zakat, all of these things which are required from me. I fulfill that. And I gain a semblance of Iman. So is that it? So should I just simply set aside? I'm doing the actions. And then we will see that, yes, there are some who believe, La ilaha illallah Muhammad Rasulullah. Some who act and they do their actions and their deeds. But then they may fall short of understanding the actions that they do. So therefore, Imam Sadiq alayhi wasallam, he told Jabir al-Juqfi, he says, إِنَّ الْيَقِينَ وَإِنَّ الْيَقِينَ أَفْضَلَ مِنَ الْإِيمَانِ وَمَا مِنْ شَيْءٍ أَعَزَّ مِنَ الْيَقِينِ. You have to have certainty. You may think that, what is the example of that? Yes, we can find the example of people who say, La ilaha illallah Muhammad Rasulullah, say, oh yes, I'm Muslim, but yeah. And my God is, oh yeah, I'm Muslim, but I don't fast. I'm Muslim, but I don't pray. And even sometimes the words are, yeah, I'm Muslim, but I do this, I drink. Are they Muslim? No, they said, Muhammad Rasulullah, or perhaps was born Muslim, but then where's the Iman? Then you have those who, yes, they believe, they act. And it's some, I've seen some are very strict and active, but then their understanding, just don't understand. And perhaps one of the greatest examples of this, this event is coming, that we look into in power. What happened with passages that happened in Israel? And how from individuals, again, read the histories of the individuals who are on both sides. But one side, I would say on both sides, we have people who actually practice and make their wajibat. There were people who were hafiz of the Quran who took up the sword against Imam. This is in the history. We read some of their biographies. There were people who made Salatul Layl, but they took up their swords against Imam Hussein. There were people, and again, this is not something that any Muslim is unaware of. That Imam Hussein alayhi salam, that he is one of the masters of the youth. This is something that everyone knows. It is in every book, every authentic and mu'tabar, reliable book of hadith transmitted from Rasulullah for all Muslims. It's there. But the question is, where's the certainty in that? Especially for those who stood against Muslims. Where's the certainty that, yes, this is the master of the youth of paradise, but yet I'm standing in opposition to him. I'm taking up arms against them. People who are teachers of Quran, hafiz of Quran, people who who prayed, who fasted, who went to Hajj, made Salatul Layl. So there was Islam. There's perhaps some semblance of Iman, but then at this point, Yaqeen, there was no. Even to the point that Imam Hussein, and this is one of perhaps the most, I think, heart-piercing events. Imam Hussein said that when he was alone, he says, "You all know who I am. Who is my mother? You know that if I make dua, Allah will respond." They said, "Yes." He says, "Okay, leave me, and I'll make dua that Allah forgives you for all that you've done." Forget they didn't leave me. So this is the difference between Iman and Yaqeen. Iman and Yaqeen. And subhanAllah, we have the perfect opportunity not only to fortify our Islam, understand that kalima that we have stated, La ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah. We have the perfect opportunity in our ibadah as we come together for the Salatul Eid, as we come together for the other Salat, and inshallah, as this pandemic is starting to set aside, that we fill our masjid and make our Salat, make our dua, perfect moments to strengthen our Iman. And then as the events of Kabir and also Muharram is upon us, perfect time to strengthen our yaqeen, our certainty. Not just simply go through motions, but to truly understand that. To truly understand, and as we understand that sacrifice of Imam Hussein, then you will understand the sacrifice of Muslim. You will understand the sacrifice of Imam Ali. You will understand the sacrifice of all of our Imam. You will understand that sacrifice of Imam Zaman Sharif. Through that, gain certainty and yaqeen and fortify our actions and our view. I pray that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives us tawfiq in gaining that yaqeen to fortify our iman and to fortify our Islam. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to forgive our sins, forgive our shortcomings, to grant us our needs, to have mercy upon our deceased ones, to cure those who are ill among our friends and family members. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to hasten the reappearance of Imam Zaman, to make us among his helpers, his companions, those who sacrifice for us. آخر دعوانا الحمد لله رب العالمين. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. اللهم اغفر ذنوبنا واستر عيوبنا واقض حوائجنا واشف مرضانا وارحم امواتنا وعجل فرج مولانا صاحب العصر والزمان وجعلنا من اعوانه وانصاره المستشهدين تحت لواء بحق محمد واله وصحبه.
Assalamu alaikum, everybody. On behalf of the city and the rest of the IABA community, I'm very happy Mubarak to you all. We have social distancing. I just want to make sure we all understand that social distancing rules are still in place. So please wear your mask. And if you're not part of the family, social distance yourself, because we also have this Delta variant that is now spreading. So we want to make sure that for your safety, you do. We have the food committee volunteers that prepared a very good breakfast for you guys. And I thank them for actually spending the night or part of the night here to prepare the food for you. And also the volunteers who came here a couple of nights to prepare this place for you guys. You can actually come. So from the East, on behalf of the EC, thank you for all the volunteers that are here. I also wanted to lastly update you on the construction process. Discussions with the contractor are progressing, and they are in the process of trying to procure material for the next phase. And inshallah, as soon as the material is there, they will be on campus to start the next phase, which is the framing of the building. So they will just frame it, and inshallah, they will have Sheikh, myself, and the EC are committed, and inshallah, we have deep conviction that we will finish this by the grace of Allah. Inshallah. And with that, again, a very happy Mubarak to you all, and please enjoy the breakfast and socially distance. Okay.
Oh. So inshallah, after this ziyarah, inshallah, we can just have the mask and then we can greet each other, right? And, yeah, with this. Inshallah, since we mentioned one saying Khutba, inshallah, we recite ziyarah tomorrow and then the ziyarah. So saying, صالتنا عن نفسه ولم يردنا عن والديه ومن قلدنا بالزيارة. السلام عليك يا وارثة السلام عليك يا وارث محمد السلام عليك يا وارث إبراهيم خليل الله السلام عليك يا وارث موسى كليم الله السلام عليك يا وارث عيسى روح الله السلام عليك يا وارث محمد بن خليل الله السلام عليك يا وارث علي وصي رسول الله السلام عليك يا وارث الحسن الرحيم السلام عليك يا وارث فاطمة بنت رسول الله السلام عليك أيها الشهيد والصديق السلام عليك أيها الوصي البر التقي السلام على الأرواح التي حلت بخلائك وأنا خاتمي رحمتك السلام على ملائكة الله المخلقين لك أشهد أنك قد أقمت الصلاة وآتيت الزكاة وأمرت بالمعروف ونهيت عن المنكر وعبدت الله مخلصا حتى أتاك اليقين السلام عليك ورحمة الله وبركاته السلام عليك يا رسول الله السلام عليك يا حبيب الله السلام عليك يا صاحب سفينة النجاة ورحمة الله وبركاته السلام عليك يا بضعة رسول الله السلام عليك يا فاطمة زهرة سيد النساء ورحمة الله وبركاته السلام عليك يا أمير المؤمنين معصوم علي طالب رسول الله ورحمة الله وبركاته السلام عليكم أيها الحسن والحسين النبي الرحمن سيد شباب أهل الجنة أجمعين ورحمة الله وبركاته السلام عليكم أئمة المعصومين من ذرية الحسين لا سيما رحمة الله بالعالمين السلام عليكم يا مولانا صاحب العصر والسلام السلام عليكم يا خليفة الرحمن السلام عليكم يا إمام الإسلام الجلال عجل الله تعالى فرجه سبحان الله تعالى السلام عليكم يا أهل بيت النبي ورحمة الله وبركاته.
Please recite Surah Fatiha for all our Merhamis. Fatiha.
الفاتحة أعوذ بالله
We're in the middle.
Yeah,
So let's just decide.
إن الله وملائكته يصلون على النبي يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما.
I like this outfit. Oh, very good. It's like a lighter. It looks
It's like a, I think it's
yeah. What are you still doing your translation?
no.
I suppose shorter one is better.